grasp the full extent to which fans of this particular franchise are afflicted. Know only that they might have a number one overall pick who's a bust on their hands, and it really doesn't come up that often. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins that I hope you'll also check out. Henry Davis is a terrific kid. You couldn't pull for a finer young man to do well. Setting aside being the number one overall pick, setting aside the rightful hype that comes with being the number one overall pick, setting aside seeing now players from Henry's class make it to the majors with other teams and wondering whether or not the Pirates made a mistake with the selection, whether they blew it with development, whether it's all of the above, which I tend to check when it comes to these types of boxes. The only thing, well, I should say things that are known about Henry going into this winter is that, according to Ben Cherington, they still plan on having him catch. There's no design on moving him to some other position or anything like that. The catching hierarchy, as laid out by Cherington a couple of times already this offseason, is that Joey Bart's entering, as he should, as the pole position, default, whatever it is that you want to call it, starter. He's going to be the starter. He should be the starter. And that from there, you have a 2 and a 3 on that depth chart that are Henry and Andy Rodriguez. Now, Andy's coming off elbow surgery. Whether or not he can throw, we'll see. Whether that sets him back. Andy's also known to have enough athleticism that he could be moved to another position. As I've said about Andy, he needs to hit his way onto the roster. And of course, the same thing could be said about Henry. And yeah, about that. So far, through 2 seasons, parts of which have been spent in the majors, Henry has totaled 377 plate appearances. And in that time, he's batted .191 with 8 home runs, 114 strikeouts, and 38 walks. And the part that's the most maddening about that is that every time he's gone back to Indianapolis, he hasn't just hit, he's hit like crazy. In the 2024 season alone, this past summer, he had a .936 OPS in the International League against a .454 OPS in the majors. That's crazy stuff. Those of you who go far back, like really far back, to another former number one overall pick, and Chad Hermanson might be able to at least recall what it felt like to have somebody go through this. Hermanson had been famously described by his rookie ball manager in Bradenton, Woody Heike, as being able to, quote, walk on water, end quote. Well, yeah, he could walk on water. He could do that all the way up to 3As, and then he couldn't do it in the majors at all. All he would do in the majors is strike out. Which brings me to the other thing that's known as a little bit too strong, but it has been disclosed by Cherington that Henry's undergoing some sort of tweaks, whether that's to his swing, his stance, or whatever. The Pirates are never going to give details like that out. In fact, they advise their players, whenever people like me go up to them and ask them, to never be specific, which is, by the way, how I was never able to really get a good answer from Nick Gonzalez as to what he did, or the team did, I don't know, to seemingly set him on a positive track over the course of this past season. Now, you can hear the Pirates and tweaks and go running under the nearest desk to hide, or you can say that there's nothing to lose, or you can say that, well, there's now going to be a new hitting coach in Matt Haig, and that maybe he should get some benefit of the doubt. I don't know. I know this. It's amazing to me that after 5 years, Cherington has butchered so much at so many levels in so many facets of this organization that I guarantee you that if you tasked someone to come up with a top 10 list of his biggest blunders or biggest blow-ups, Henry might not even make that list on merit. And yet, you can't blow these. You can't. If you're the Pirates and you're a team that's never, under any owner, under any circumstance, barring a salary cap, going to have a competitive payroll, you can't come up with a zero-sum number one overall pick. You just can't. Again, I think this kid is just terrific. He's going to give it his best. It's certainly not about attitude or approach or want to. Heck, it might not even be about talent. Because, I'd like to think that if you can put up a nearly 940 OPS in AAA, you've got to have at least some hope to be able to do something at the next level. But here we are already casting him, actually not us, Cherington casting him as maybe the backup in 2025, and all kinds of question marks surrounding him. What an awful reflection on this organization. And what an awful reflection specifically on baseball ops. This isn't one of those where you finger wag Bob Nutting. All he did was whatever. You got to pay for the draft and stuff. And they did that. They paid the bonuses. They got the player everybody thought they should get. And then it just blows up in their face. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Abandon ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to ourteamnothis.com to get involved.
Today's J1Q comes from Henry in Florida, who says, "Hi, DK. I listen to your daily shots on the YouTube app. I appreciate you sharing that, Henry, and doing it." Henry asks, "What do you think of making Jared Jones a closer? With Jones's durability in question and the Pirates having trouble scoring runs and needing a closer, wouldn't using Jones as a closer be more of a fit for this team?" No. I'll give you more than that, Henry, but I first had to get that part out. No. Respectfully, while you're right that the team needs a closer, the closer's going to be David Bednar by default, meaning they're going to give him another opportunity to get back to where he was. And I would do the same thing. I don't see anything amiss with that. You at least have to allow him to ramp up and have a healthy, sound spring training before he goes into this season, unlike last year when they completely blew it by dragging him to Miami and forcing him onto the roster in day 2 when they didn't need him that quickly and he hadn't had any time to really recover from the injury that shut him down near the end of spring training. Big mistake by people who make a lot of them. But when it comes to young starting pitching, you hear me say this a lot, but there's nothing more valuable in the industry. There's no commodity that you can carry on your roster that comes with more worth. And by that, I mean not only to your own team in the moment, but also to your franchise in terms of trade capital and so forth. You would not take someone who has shown he can go on to a big league mound and mow opponents down the way Jones did for the better part of the first half of 2024, and then arbitrarily decide he should be a closer because of a team need. That's just not the way you want that to go. You want Jones to have more time to establish himself as that starter that we saw. Now, did he wear down or just happen to get hurt or whatever? We'll never have answers to things like that because your players are never even going to be honest with you when you ask. Players are going to say, well, yeah, this just happened. I've never had an issue with this before. I'll be fine. I'm a starting pitcher. Why did you even bring this up? Jones is going to have some time to show that he's that guy, and he should. And if Ben Cherington or anybody else, and it would have to be done at the GM level, were to determine that he should be a reliever, it wouldn't be for team need. That said, all of that said, I want to be careful, and I hope that everyone else is as well, in terms of projecting Jones as being injury prone or projecting that he can't be a starter because he's 5'11". There have been successful smaller starters. There have been durable smaller starters in baseball. Jones throwing as hard as he does and having his stature is a red flag in the, what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess in the symbolic sense, meaning you don't know that it's going to be a thing, but you know that those tend to be problems and you want to be mindful of that. But I don't know how you can be excessively mindful of it without, actually doing something about it. And I'd rather just see the kid pitch well. I'd rather just see him be what we saw him be in the first half. And if that means over time, you've got to manage it, whatever, that's fine too. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.